Let us now discuss the modern atomic structure of atom. Question is, define quantum numbers or discuss modern atomic structure. Now, what are quantum numbers? This is a work of number of chemists who collectively devise some numbers which can explain position, energy, orientation and spin of electron in an atom. These numbers are called as quantum numbers. So quantum number, these are a set of 4 numbers, 4 index numbers is required to express energy, orientation and spin of electron in an atom. These numbers are called as quantum numbers. They are 4 in number. First is principal quantum number. It is given by n. Then we have azimuthal or orbital quantum number. It is given by L. Then we have magnetic quantum number. It is given by M. Then we have spin or magnetic spin quantum number. It is represented by S or MS. Then we have first of all principal quantum number. It tells us about the average distance of the electron from the center of the nucleus, and it also tells us about the cell of the electron. It is represented by small n and it has all the values. They are n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on, or it is represented by K, L, M, N, O, P and so on. These values, they are starting from the nucleus, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So these are the principal quantum numbers, and the energy of each cell that can be calculated by formula 1311.8 upon n square into z square, where z square is the nuclear charge, n is the number of cell in which electron is revolving. Then we come to the second quantum number, that is azimuthal, orbital or subsidiary quantum number. It tells us about the number of subcells and the subcell of the electron in an atom. It is represented by L. It is represented by L and has values 0 to n minus 1. If L is equal to 0, it is for S subcell. If L is equal to 1, then P subcell. If it is 2, it is D subcell. If it is 3, it is for F subcell. So L has these values 0 to 3. Then we have the magnetic quantum number. It tells us about the number of orbitals present in a subcell, and it is represented by M. Its values are calculated by formula 2L plus 1 and values are written as minus L, 0, then plus L. And lastly we have spin quantum number. It tells us about the spinning of electron around its own axis. The spin may be clockwise or anti-clockwise. If it is clockwise, it is represented by plus half. If it is anti-clockwise, represented by minus half. So these are two spins. Now we demonstrate all the quantum numbers by calculating the values of these quantum numbers in different cells and subcells, as well finding the number of orbitals in those cells and subcells. So let us take some examples. If n is equal to 1, if electron is present in first energy level, then value of L will be 0 to n minus 1 means 0 to 1 minus 1 means 0. If L is 0, that is for S subcell, since it belongs to first energy level, this is 1s subcell. Then coming to M, if L is 0, you will find M is also 0. And spin quantum number, it has two values only, either it is plus half or it is minus half. The spin of the electron is either plus half clockwise direction or it is minus half in the anti-clockwise direction. If value of n is 2, then L will be having two values, 0 to 2 minus 1 means 0 to 1. For 0 we have S subcell, that is of second, 2s. For 1 we have 2p subcell. And magnetic quantum number for this subcell 0, for this it is 0, plus L means plus 1, minus L means minus 1. So M has three values here. It can be seen by putting this value in formula 2L plus 1. We got three values. They are written as we know, 0 and L is written in minus state, L is written in plus state. So these are three values. We have written those values. Then spin quantum number is, you know, it is either plus half or minus half. Similarly, if n is equal to 3, then L will be having two values, 0 to 2 means 0, 1, 2. 0 will be for 3s, 1 will be for 3p, this will be for 3d subcell. So for a magnetic quantum number, when L is 0, L is also 0, then magnetic quantum number, it will have three values, 0, plus 1 and minus 1. It will be having double karo or 1 add karne pe 0 to plus 2 and 0 to minus 2. It has five values. So spin quantum number is again plus half and minus half. So in this manner, the problems on quantum number, they are to be solved. And second type of problem come like this: if an electron is present in 3D subcell, calculate N, L, M and S for this electron. So answer will be, electron is present in 3D subcell, it means N is 3, L for D subcell, that is 2. Because we know 0, 1, 2, 3, S, P, D, F. If we are having D subcell, then N value will be 2, then M value will be 5. Double plus add 1. So you will be having 5 values, 0 to plus 2, 0 to minus 2. And spin quantum number, it is either plus half or minus half. We can give any value. Similarly, we can calculate the values of 4f, we can calculate 5d, we can calculate the value for 4s. N is 4 here, here 5, it is 4. L is for F subcell, it will be 3. For D subcell 2, S subcell it is 0. M will be, so you double the values and add 1, 7 values, 0, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. 7 orbitals are present in F subcell. Since we have 7 values of magnetic quantum number, here it will go up to plus 2 and minus 2. 5 values, here it is 0 only. So this is regarding the values. L is 0, M is 0. Spin quantum number for all is either plus half or minus half. So in this manner we can solve the problems of the quantum numbers. There is no problem in solving these problems. Then we have just explained the quantum number. After explaining quantum numbers, we come to a very important question. Discuss line spectrum of hydrogen. Why large number of lines they are seen in the hydrogen spectrum? So our next question is, discuss a line spectrum of hydrogen. For this purpose, hydrogen gas is filled in the discharge tube taken by J.J. Thomson, and when light emitted by this tube, it was analyzed through spectroscope. It gave number of lines in the spectrum of hydrogen, while large number of lines they were seen in the spectrum of hydrogen. According to Bohr's fifth postulate, an electron keeps on revolving in the allotted energy level without losing any energy. This state of the electron is called as ground state. But when energy is given to the electron, it absorbs that energy and moves to the higher level. This state of the electron is a temporary state. After some time, electron has to come back to the ground state. So when it comes back, it releases the absorbed energy in the form of photons of visible light, and these photons they strike against spectroscopic film. They produce lines there. Since a small sample of hydrogen contains large number of hydrogen atoms, and each hydrogen atom has one electron. So when we have innumerable number of hydrogen atom in a small discharge tube, we have same number of electrons. When these electrons of different hydrogen atom, they all are excited by absorbing energy from the discharge tube, and these electrons when they return back, if they all the electrons they fall in the first level, they will produce a bundle of line that will be called as Lyman series. If they fall in the second level, they will produce another bundle of line which is called a Paschen series. Then we have bracket series, Fund series, Balmer series, and so on. We are getting the different series. First we get Lyman series in the first level, Balmer series in the second level, then we have Paschen series in the third level, bracket series in the fourth level, and Fund series in the fifth level. Let us now draw the structure of line spectrum of hydrogen. This is the combined nucleus of all the hydrogen atoms which are present in the discharge tube. This is the first cell of all the hydrogen atoms. This is second cell. This is their third cell. Then we have fourth cell. We have fifth cell, sixth cell, and so on. So we are having 7 cells. When electron from the higher level they fall to the first level, this bundle of lines so obtained, this will be called as a Lyman series, and this will be highly energetic series. This is called as Lyman series, and due to more energy it falls in the UV region. Then we come to if electrons in some of the atom they are falling in the second level, then we get Balmer series of lines. Then we have the next, if they are falling in the third level, we get Paschen series. If electrons are falling in the fourth level from higher levels, then we get bracket series. If they are falling in the fifth level, we get Fund series. So these are the 3 series. This falls in the visible region, and these 3 series they fall in the infrared region. They are of very less energy. So for Lyman series, the value of N2 7 6 5 4 3 2, and value of N where electrons are falling, it is fast. And for Balmer series, N2 will be 7 6 5 4 3, and N1 will be 2 in this case. So now we can calculate the wave number of each series. That can be calculated by wave number is reciprocal of wavelength. This is 109.677 centimeter inverse 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. This is the lower number of lower orbit. This is the number of higher orbit from which electrons are falling in the lower orbit. So in this way we can calculate the wave number of the all lines which are falling in the spectrum of the hydrogen. After explaining this, we come to 2 important laws. After explaining some characteristic properties of the light always travels in the form of wave, we know. So we'll be defining some important characteristics of the light. characteristics of light. As we know, light travels in the form of wave like this. These heights they are called as crest of the wave, and this depth they are called as troughs of the wave. The distance between two adjacent crests is wavelength. Two adjacent trough is also called as wavelength. The height of the crest or depth of the trough they are called as the amplitude of the electron wave. Then we have velocity of light, we have frequency of light, we have amplitude, we have wavelength, we have wave number. So these are the few important definitions. First of all, we consider wavelength of the light. It is the distance between two adjacent crests of the light wave or two adjacent trough of the light wave. Then we have frequency. It is the number of waves which are passing through a point in 1 second, that is frequency, and frequency is always equal to c by lambda. Now what is c? It is the velocity of light. It is expressed in meter per second. Wavelength is expressed in angstrom, or it is expressed in meter inverse or centimeter inverse. Frequency is expressed in cycle per second or in hertz. CPS is the unit of frequency or hertz. Velocity is expressed in meter per second. Velocity of light is 3 into 10 raised to power 10 meter per second. Then we have four definition. Amplitude of the electron wave. It is the height of crest or depth of trough, that is called as amplitude. Then we have fifth definition, that is your wave number. It is reciprocal of wavelength. Lesser the wavelength, higher will be the wave number, or we can define wave number as the number of waves present in unit area, that is a square of 1 centimeter. If taken, how many waves are there, we say that wave number. So after discussing characteristics of the light, we come to a very important few important definitions. Now what is black body radiation? A black body is a perfect absorber, we know, or emitter. When a black body is heated, it absorbs the heat energy, and it first becomes red and then becomes yellow. Finally it tends to glow with a white light or blue light. It can be explained with the fact that red color is of less energy due to less energy photons which are emitted by the black body initially, and then the energy of the photon go on increasing when they ultimately change their color. Now we have what is electron volt. It is defined as the energy acquired by an electron when it is accelerated through a potential difference of 1 volt. That energy is called as electron volt. Then we have the dual nature of matter. What do you know about dual nature of matter? So we know that any microscopic particle, when it is in motion, it has two characteristics. It is particle and it travels in the form of wave. This is called as duality of that material particle. Two theories they were put forward. One theory was given by Newton, that is known as Newton corpuscular theory. According to this theory, a body emits or absorbs energy in the form of photons, and these photons they travel in the form of these photons are particles which travel from one source to another source. Then we have the Huygens theory of wave theory, that is Huygens theory. First was Newton corpuscular theory. So according to the Newton, light is made of extremely small particles which are called as photons. So, according to this theory, light is made of small particles which are emitted from a source just like bullets. Then we have Huygens theory. According to this theory, light is made of waves. Now, these two theories, they were combined by Einstein, who said that light is made of extremely small particles, very light particles, they are called as photons, and these photons, they travel in the form of waves. So this is called a duality of light. So light has dual character. It is made of particles which are called as photons. These particles are too light so to be disturbed by the atmospheric air. That's why they travel in the form of wave. This theory was given by Huygens. First theory of particulate theory, that was given by Newton. Einstein later on combined both the theories, that it is okay that light is made of highly energetic particles which are called as photons. These particles, they travel in the form of wave, therefore light possesses dual character. So after knowing the dual character of light, now we shift to the dual character of matter. This was proposed by Louis de Broglie in 1924. So we'll be now considering derive Louis de Broglie equation. So in 1924, Louis de Broglie derived an equation to calculate wavelength of the moving microscopic particles. This equation is known by his name as a de Broglie equation. So derivation, let us take a photon of light. Taking it as a particle, its energy is given by E is equal to mc square. This is called an Einstein equation. And taking it as wave, because this photon has both characteristics, its energy is given by h nu. This is 1 and 2 equated. We get mc square is equal to h nu. Put the value of nu, mc square is equal to hc by lambda. 1c is neglected, so we get mc equal to h upon lambda, or lambda is equal to h over mc. Since c is used to denote the velocity of light, therefore to represent the velocity of object, we get lambda is equal to h over mv. Replace c by v. This is called as Louis de Broglie equation, and mv is momentum, therefore it can also be written like this, or lambda is reciprocal of momentum. So these are the three forms of your de Broglie equation. Lambda is equal to h over mv, lambda is equal to h over p, lambda is inversely proportional to the momentum of the moving microscopic particle. So this is the new development where a wave is associated with the moving lighter particles, not with the heavier particle. If we say bus moving with wave, it is not true, so that wave cannot be seen. That is a negligible in that case, because momentum factor that increases appreciably in that case. So this is the derivation of de Broglie equation. After de Broglie equation, we will be now coming to another important law, that is Heisenberg uncertainty principle. This principle states that it is impossible to determine both position as well as momentum of moving microscopic particle. Define and explain HUB, Heisenberg uncertainty principle. This principle states that it is impossible to determine both position as well as momentum of the moving microscopic particles with absolute accuracy. If we are able to know the position, we would not be able to know the momentum. and vice versa. So we can say if this is nucleus and this electron is revolving around it in circular path, a photon is dropped on the bombarded on the electron to see its position. This electron, it will move in some unpredictable direction. If initial position of the electron was x1, the final position is x2, its momentum was p1, now it is p2. The difference of these two values, it is delta p and it is delta x. So in this case, the uncertainty produced, that is equal to delta x into delta p, it is either greater than or equal to h upon 4 pi. If it is greater than this value, nothing can be known. If it is equal to that, then one position can be known. If delta x is very larger than delta p, it can be determined. If delta p is much larger, then delta x can be known. So one time we can determine the position. So this is uncertainty principle. So these were two principles. First was de Broglie principle, we state that electron has wave, and second principle is this Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which states that it is impossible to determine position and momentum of the moving microscopic particle. They were largely against the Bohr model, since Bohr predicted the position as well as your momentum of the electron, they got fixed. So in this case, by these two theories, they cannot be fixed. Therefore, Bohr model lost its significance. Then came the concept of quantum numbers. So these are the two principles which were set back to the Bohr model. Due to this, Bohr model was rejected, and the new theory that came into existence, that is theory of quantum numbers. And according to this theory, the four numbers, they are required to express position, energy, orientation and spin of electron in an atom. These numbers, they were named as the quantum numbers. Then how many electrons in p subcell can have plus half quantum number? So p subcell when can accommodate 6 electrons, out of which 3 will be in clockwise direction in 3 orbital. So 3 electron will be having plus half spin, and other 3 electron, they will be having minus half spin. Then there is a small question, how many electrons can be present in 4f subcell? Since f subcell, any of the f subcell, 4f, 5f, 7f, any of the subcell, they have 7 orbitals. Each orbital can keep 2 electrons, so there will be 14 electrons in 4f subcell or 5f subcell, any of the f subcell. Then he said an element with atomic number 10, write its electronic configuration. So an element of atomic number 10 is neon. Its electronic configuration will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. We'll be studying the quantum number we have studied. Now we come to the important definition, the difference between orbit and orbital. Now what is orbital? In light of these two principles, the concept of orbital was introduced. So we'll be now defining atomic orbital. So what is atomic orbital? It is defined as the three-dimensional space around the nucleus of an atom where probability of finding its electron is maximum. Atomic orbital, they are of three types. Number one, s orbitals. They are spherically, symmetrically, cylindrical around the nucleus. This is 1s orbital. They are shown by dots around this. If we want to draw the shape of 2s orbital, this will be the first region of electron that is associated with 1s. This is nodal region where no electrons are revolving. And around this nodal region we have 2s subcell. So this is shape of 2s orbital. Then we have p orbitals. P orbital, they are dumbbell shaped. They are 3 in number. This is px lying on the x-axis. Then we have py lying on the y-axis. Then we have pz orbital lying on the z-axis. Then we have d orbitals. They are 5 in number, we have seen. They are dx, y, having the electronic lobes between x and y lobe, y axis. Then we have dyz, having electronic lobes between y and z axis. Then we have dzx, having electronic lobe between Z and X axis. Then we have df square to y square. Then we have dz square. This is z square. It is having a circular ring around it. So these are the 5 orbitals. Now we'll be doing the difference between orbit and orbital. As we know, orbit is a circular path around the nucleus. It is also called as energy level or principal energy level, or it is called as cell. Then orbital is 3-dimensional region around the nucleus where probability of finding electron is maximum. Orbit is represented by K, L, M, N, O, P 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, while orbitals are represented by S, P, D, F designation. Then orbit represents planar motion of the electron. It does not represent 3-dimensional motion of the electron, while orbital gives the 3-dimensional motion of the electron. Orbital has no direction. Orbit has no direction, while all the orbital they are having direction. S orbital is spherical, symmetrical, cylindrical on all the axes, but these orbital they are having directions. So this is the difference between orbit and orbital. In next lecture we will be taking the electronic configuration of the different species and the different rules which help in determining electronic configuration. Thank you very much.